Hello everyone, welcome back. What I want to talk today about is why the Americans, the early Americans, seem to hate the Indians so much. Okay, now it's important to understand that contrary to what a lot of people think, the muskets did not have an advantage over the bow and arrow. In fact, the bow and arrow was superior to the musket. The bow and arrow had equal or greater range. It was accurate, and more importantly, they could fire it a lot faster than a musket could be fired. Okay, so the Indians did have superior weapons until repeating firearms came along way down the line. Okay, so the Indians represented a very credible military threat to the Americans, and also important to understand that the Indians were allies of the British. All the way up through World War I, okay, so the beginning of World War I, the Americans considered the British their enemies, okay, and because of these prior treaties that the Indians had with the British, basically the Indians were were enemies of the Americans through their alliance and their treaties to the British, okay, so that's an important concept to understand. That a lot of times is kind of overlooked. Okay, and this is an important reason why the early Americans absolutely hated the Indians. They hated them just as much as they hated the British, and there was actually there was instances after the American Revolution. We know that the British were using the Indians through the American Revolution. We know that they used them through the War of 1812, okay, to fight the Americans. But even after the War of 1812, the British were still using and aiding and the Indians and trying to get them to basically create trouble for the Americans. And Andrew Jackson, the man on the $20 bill, he was actually sent down to Florida to deal with this Indian problem that the British were basically creating. Okay, so that's just an important thing to understand why the early Americans absolutely hated the Indians. They saw them as an enemy, not only as an enemy but as a credible enemy, because at that time, okay, in those years prior to the American Civil War, the Indians actually had superior weapons. Okay, their bows and arrows were fast, were accurate, and they could be fired a lot faster. Something for you guys to look into. I'm just kind of planting the seed there and letting you guys do your own research from there. I'll talk to you guys next time.